needs to be heard by the world. What's holding you back? You don't want to mess with all those gadgets. You don't want to bother with promotion and producing and archives and, well, I've got the answer for you. At awakenradio.net, you show up, you host your show. You have someone that produces it for you, that helps you to promote it to the world and get your word out. You also have it listed in the archives and available as a free download on the website, at an archive source, and most importantly, it's available as a free download and subscription through iTunes. So what's holding you back? Come on, get your message out to the world. You have something important to say. Awaken Radio wants to help you say it. Visit awakenradio.net today. Click on the link on the left-hand side that says Host a Show, or add Awakened Radio to your Skype contact and send Donna Devane a message. She'll be more than happy to talk with you about you doing your very own show. awakenradio.net. We are occupying the airwaves and changing the world. Join us. We're more than an online radio station. We are a family focused on making life better for everyone.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lillerose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Well, hello everyone and welcome. This is your host, Pernilla Lillerose, welcoming you back for our Tuesday conversation on Evolutionary Women Radio Show. And this is a place where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Now, why did I choose such a name and title for my radio show? It's simply because this is something that is alive inside of my heart. It brings me a lot of joy and inspiration to connect with that inside of myself, with other women, and of course with men too. I chose to make this specifically a show for women at this point. It can always change as things do. But I just love to connect and share with other women who are taking a step into the new paradigm. And it's really the new paradigm that I like to talk about on this show. So welcome everyone. If you are here for the first time, or if you've been here before, I always like to encourage you to go to the chat room so you can chat with us. Or, of course, if you would like to call in with a question or with anything you would like to share, you call this number, 334-649-7204. So please join us one way or the other, and you can also follow on Skype by going to Awaken Radio on Skype. And I also just want to remind you all that this is a listener-supported radio station, so we're always welcome for any donations that are given here. And the platform that we have here that is created by Awaken Radio by Donna is a place where we can share our messages. We can't just go and share it anywhere, although it is spreading more and more. People are more and more open to hearing about what we share on this radio show. But let's support this radio show so it can keep growing and reach more and more people, because there are people from all over the world who are listening in, and we want to keep spreading the word to the world. And you can all help us by doing that, by giving a donation or by showing up, checking in, chatting with us, calling us. We want to make this so it fits everyone and there's room for all of you. Now, today, I have a very special guest that I want to invite you to. listen to. And this guest is Pernilla Lillerose. I'm laughing, and I'll tell you more about why I'm laughing right now. But I'll just tell you a little bit about myself, what I do, and what brings me here. My bio says that Pernilla Lillerose is known as the Kindness and Consciousness Coach. For over 10 years, she has been helping people like you realize the inner strength and joy that comes from truly loving the miracle of life that you are. I have to laugh when I do this because it's funny to introduce myself. But hey, that's what I do because I decided to invite myself onto my show today. So Pernilla works specifically with women who have given away their power and authority, either in past or current relationships. And I love to help women build confidence and trust in their intuition and own wisdom. Pernilla is also the author of Imagine Being Kind to Yourself and Allow Yourself to Be You. And Pernilla is a certified Hakomi practitioner and a spiritual coach and teacher in private practice. So welcome everyone. That was an introduction to myself, and that was kind of fun to do. And you know, the reason I want to do it this way today is because I want to give us all permission to fully be who we are. And we can't just show up as being partly who we are and then pretending that we're something else at the same time. We have to come in full alignment with who we are. And as long as we are skirting around on the outside, you know, and pretending or trying to be somebody or something else than what we really are, we're missing the boat. It's an amazing journey to come fully home to yourself. And I know in my own experience that this is not something that just happens overnight, because we have been identified with so many beliefs and rules and ideas that we thought were true. And we have been living as if they are true, or as if they were true, and maybe a combination of both for now, where we are still stuck with certain roots in the old paradigm, thinking that we are different than we are. And then part of us is already beginning to embody the new frequencies or the new energies, which is really who we truly are. So calling it a new energy is actually not really true, but I'm just going to speak about it that way just to make it easier to have a distinction between how it has been and how it is becoming. Now, why am I specifically wanting to talk about that today? And why am I on my own show today? Well, let me give you a little background. For those of you who are not on my email list and receiving my newsletter or reading my blog, because I posted it on there this week, is that I noticed that I was kind of beginning to slip away a little bit into an old pattern of taking care of everybody else before me. And I have to laugh again because, boy, does that happen so automatically. And sometimes you don't even know it and you suddenly find yourself in the old place. It's like, wait a minute, how did I get here? I was so conscious and I was so aware of doing things differently. And suddenly I find myself in a place that I don't really belong anymore. So how did that happen? Well, I think it's when we're not paying fully attention to what we really want and really keeping our awareness, our attention, and our intention on what our heart is longing for. Well, what I slipped into, that was the old pattern of taking care of everybody else. It was actually on my own radio show. And my dear friend Donna Divine, yes, Donna Divine, who is the station owner of Awakened Radio, she called me one morning and she says, "Good morning, Pernilla. How are you doing?" "Oh, I'm fine. Thank you, Donna. How are you?" Well, we have a little chit chat. And then Donna says, "Pernilla, where are you in your radio show? Where have you gone?" And she really pointed out to me that what I started out with had actually kind of started slipping away. I really want this platform on Evolutionary Radio, Women Radio, to be a place where I talk to other evolutionary women, where we share our challenges, the journey we have been through, the gifts we have received, and the messages that we share now. I love that. I love to meet so many women who are on this same journey as I am. And it's not something we just choose with our mind. It's actually something that lives deep inside of us that wants to express itself. So when I started this radio show, there was something deep inside of me that wanted to share my own message. But I also wanted to support other women to have a place to do that. And somehow what happened was that I forgot that I also had a message, because I got so involved with all these wonderful women that I really want to support in their messages. And I totally enjoy it, but it should never be at the exclusion of myself or of ourselves, if I can spread that out and include some more people. So when Donna called me and told me that, I knew what she was saying was the truth, because I already felt it somewhere. It's like, what is going on here? You know, something is not quite the way I wanted it to be. And that's when you slip into an old pattern, and it can kind of blind you a little bit. It's like, you know, something is off, but you couldn't quite see what it was. And then I got this wonderful wake-up call, and I was like, okay, here we go. So what I decided to do then, of course, is just to change it and go back to where I really wanted it to go in the beginning. So I'm going to include myself once or twice a month and just share my own message, because that is really something that I came here for. And I think all of us came here with a message to share with the world. No matter how big, no matter how small, it does not matter. What really matters is that we start listening inside and find what it is that we came here for. So thank you, Donna Divine, for waking me up to my little slipping into an old pattern. So I thought today would be a perfect day to talk a little more about how easily we slip into these old patterns if we are not fully grounded in what is important to us. And if an old pattern might slip in where we still think that we are only loved or liked if we do things for other people, if we put ourselves on the back burner. And I know us women, we have a very old ingrained pattern in doing so. So when we uncover that and when we catch ourselves back in the old pattern, I want to so deeply encourage and invite you all to be very, very kind to yourself. and to wake yourself up in a loving way when you see that you slip down the old pathway again. It's so ingrained in us. You know, dear women, I just want to say this is so deeply ingrained in us. And it takes time to move out of an old pattern that we've lived for eons. Just because we see it once or twice or maybe 100 times, that does not mean that we are all the way out of it. It's a matter of catching it each time, or when we are being caught in it by our friends, and then just gently go back out. And then where do you go? You go back into your heart. You go back into your intention of why you are here. You go back into that place inside of you that knows that things can be different, and that will support us and move us and guide us into that new way of being. But the only way we can do that and can be that is by continually checking in with ourselves to really feeling if we are still on track. Personally, I have been very much focused for many, many years, specifically as a Hakomi practitioner, to listen to the body, to learn the cues of the body when we are in alignment with ourselves and when we are not. And I know if this is something that you haven't paid attention to, it's a learning process. But to do it without being in tune with the body, I think it's going to be difficult. Because in my experience, my body holds so much wisdom. I was almost going to say all the wisdom, but I don't think that's true because there is so much more outside of the body. But we experience the wisdom in this third dimension, in and as our bodies. When we move out to different dimensions, or if we leave our bodies, of course there's a different kind of information and wisdom to tap into. But as long as we are in a body in this third dimension, I don't think it's because we need to leave our bodies behind. I know there are a lot of people who talk about transcending, and I'm all for transcending, but not at the expense of our bodies, as long as we still have them. If we were not meant to have a body, we probably wouldn't have one. We would be floating around somewhere else without a body, or probably with a different kind of body. But we have a third dimensional body, and by listening in, we will tap into the wisdom of the universe. See, it's not a separate thing. It becomes separate when we try to transcend it, or go beyond it, or get rid of it, ignore it, all these things, right? That's where the separation is. But when we take a breath and pause, which some of you already know is so important. I talk about this so often, to slow down. Take a breath and just pay attention to what your body is telling you. What is your body feeling right now? If you really paid attention and started listening, what do you know is true for you this moment? And what do you know is not true for you this moment? And that's something that, at least in my experience, I feel that as a resonance inside, there's something that either contracts or wants to move away or gets tight or hard or afraid when I'm not in alignment with myself. When I am in alignment, or when it is a truth that resonates with me, there is a feeling of warmth, expansion, joy, love, connectedness, even oneness with myself, of course, and oneness with everything else. So these are two very simple little cues that you can start paying attention to if your body is contracting, getting tight, or if it's actually expanding and feeling like a yes, something resonates with you. And this resonance that we feel is something that's much deeper, that we need to get used to trusting and to listening to. And that doesn't happen overnight. But you can start using these two as a way of calibrating yourself to your truth by just checking in, am I expanding? Am I contracting? Am I fearful? Does this sound like something resonates in me? And then slowly you can start trusting that. For most of us, we have not been trusting that, have we? We have been trusting outside authorities and at the expense of our own wisdom and our own knowing. And it doesn't work in the long run, does it? It doesn't make us happy. It doesn't make us fulfilled. And we're just living a half life, trying to fit in, trying to do what other people say we should do, or what we think they want us to do. And it doesn't work. And that's a good thing. So to come back again to the evolutionary women that I talk about, what I would say is how I see what I see as an evolutionary woman is somebody who's leaving behind, living by others' rules and by others' demands. It's leaving the old paradigm behind. And when we leave the old behind, when we leave the rules and regulations and demands of other people behind, we need to start finding something new to live by. And that is your heart. That is where you find all the wisdom, all the joy, all the guidance that you're looking for. So let's take a breath and maybe consciously take a breath into your body, into your heart, and start noticing what really matters to you. Are you living your life in a way that truly matters to you? Or are you living your life in order to fit in what matters to somebody else? Just take a look at that for a moment. And, we're not going to get to the core of this just by talking about it like we are now. But it is an entry point for you to look at and see if you actually are living your own life or if you are living somebody else's life. I don't know how many of you have heard of the pain body as described by Eckhart Tolle. About a couple of years ago, I started writing a new book, which I never completed yet. I don't know if it's ever going to be completed, but the title was going to be healing the female pain body. And part of that healing is to learn to let go of these old, stuck patterns where we are not living our own life. We've done this for so long that sometimes it can be hard to even realize that we're not living our own lives. We think we are, right? Because we're so out of touch with our true body, our true essence. And so it's a little bit of an exploration, and it takes some curiosity and inquiry to find out, well, whose life am I really living? And what is really important about what I'm doing in my life? Can we be so open and so willing to maybe face something in our lives that really is not our truth? And of course that can be challenging because it may mean that we have to change a lot of things in our lives. But we don't have to do that right away. I think it's so important to start out exploring, well, what is my truth? You may find out like what I'm living is not my truth right now. And that's a good beginning. That's actually a very good beginning. Without taking action, just take some time to explore that and find out, wow, this is not my life. What could be my life if I really started listening instead of just being overwhelmed by the world, by what other people say? This is such an important part. This is such an important first step to start finding out who we are and then start living in alignment with that. And if we don't live that, it's like we live two lives. We live a separate life as if it's like a circle or a shadow that is around ourselves where we're trying to find out what is our truth by following what other people say. And it's impossible. It simply can never happen. So let's take another breath and just be open to the fact that we may not be living our own life, or maybe we are living it partly, but not fully yet. And that's either way, wherever you are is perfect. It's just a matter of starting where we are and taking stock and see what our life is really like and how we're living it right now. And for me, like I share with you, I had slipped into the old pattern of making sure that everybody else was taken care of. And I kind of left myself on the back burner because I've been doing that a lot in my life. I've been doing a lot of volunteer work for spiritual teachers, for spiritual organizations, and I've loved it. It gave me a lot of joy and pleasure. And I wouldn't, I don't regret it. I wouldn't do it differently back then. But today I do because I'm different. So I want to get into that a little bit more after the break. We're going to go on a short break. And I would still invite anybody to come onto the chat room and chat with me or call in so we can have a wonderful little conversation. If you have anything to share, any questions, I would love to hear from you. So we'll be back after this short break. Thank you.
Awakened Radio, your listener-supported online global radio station where we all come together to share the love and the energy of change that we know ourselves to be. Thank you so much for clicking on our love, gift, and donate buttons throughout the website. Your support is very appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing and making real your love and your appreciation for what all the hosts at Awakened Radio are doing. This is Donna Devane, station owner, saying we really appreciate your help.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lillerose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. I would love you to join me in the chat room or call in at 334-649-7204. It would be wonderful to share all this beauty with you. So let's get back to the whole thing about leaving ourselves behind, not listening to what is our truth, and maybe specifically how to do that. I'm in several different circles, and what I've noticed recently is that almost in every circle that I'm in, that most women are saying, you know what, I just don't want to do it this way anymore. I want to just do what I love to do. But it's so hard because I still feel compelled to do, or to follow certain rules, and I don't quite know what is true for me. And that is really, really important to start paying attention to that. When these strong impulses come up, then we need to listen to that. And I noticed that we have a caller, so I'm delighted. Yes, please, let's have the caller. Hi.
Hello, Pernilla.
Hey, hello.
Hello. Can I ask a question?
Just say your name and where you're from.
My name is Therese van Gelder and I am from Holland.
Wonderful. Welcome, Therese. What a joy to hear your voice. How are you, my friend?
The same for me. A joy to hear you.
Thank you. What would you like to share?
I would like to ask a question.
Yes.
I have looked at myself. What is my heart's desire?
Yeah.
And to get more into contact with my heart. And two things I need or see is that what I desire very much is to be at ease and to be relaxed and to enjoy life. So, but then I often think when I go for that, there is nothing I do for other people. It is still, I still make or have the idea that my heart's desire should include other people. So, so I'm a bit, I don't really know what is what in this.
Yeah. Well, Teresa, I totally hear you, and what I hear, that it should include other people. That is such an old paradigm belief that we have lived under as women specifically. And I don't want to include men because I know many, many, many men do it too. So it's not like, it's only women. But for now, I just want to address how we do it as women, right? It's like, it feels to me what you're saying is that it's not okay just to take care of yourself because there is a belief that you should take care of others too.
Yeah.
Correct?
It feels in that way that it's like it's like my heart's desire is too much focused on myself.
Right.
And as if you are often speaking about you will share something in the world, and when I look at my heart's desire, it is like it's nothing sharing in the world.
Right. Okay, so I can see that could be a little confusing. Well, in your case, my dear, what your heart is telling you is that you want to live at peace, right? With ease. That's what your heart is telling you. And Teresa, that is what you need to start trusting. When you start trusting that, the next and the next and the next can unfold after that. If there is anything you want to share, you may not. Not everybody needs to share themselves in an active kind of fashion. For a lot of people, walking around in peace inside is bringing a whole new frequency to the planet. That in itself will affect everything. I think it was Eckhart Tolle that I heard years ago say that it's like, I can't remember, he had a term for it. It was like we are being frequency or something. It's just being the new frequency. And there is not necessarily a doing in that, but it is the being of that. That is probably more important than anything, but that's just my own humble opinion. I think being the peace, being the ease, and what you're talking about, can you feel that when you really long for that? Can you feel what happens in you?
It's like beauty arises for me.
Yeah. And what do you think happens with that beauty when it arises in you, Teresa? Do you think it ends right at the end of your skin?
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, that's an honest answer. I can really appreciate you for saying that. Yeah. But when you walk around, and you just feel this beauty arising in you, it's like a flower, isn't it? The flower has this
flower. Oh, power. What did you say?
A flower.
A flower, yeah.
It's like I see you walking around as a flower. And even though you may not be aware of that, I would say that people are affected by that. Because when we are being who and what we are beaming who and what we are. This is just one of my little sayings, being who you are is beaming who you are. You can't read it. So I really, really want to support you in trusting that, Teresa. I think it is so beautiful what you share, and I think it is probably one of the most difficult ones to fully embrace, because everything in the world tells us that we need to do things and need to be something for others, and that it needs to look a certain way. But it's not true. What you're doing here is very, very important and very, very beautiful. And I really want to support you in that, to trust that. If you can, you can take a month. This is just a little experiment. You can see if it resonates with you. Why don't you take a month and just give that to yourself? Just let yourself have it. And when that thought comes in, that it should include other people and whatnot, you can say, okay, I hear you. And for the next 30 days, I'm just going to do this anyway and see what happens. Would you be up for that?
Yes, just, I think I understood you. I was still a bit with the language.
Yeah, so just take 30 days and let yourself trust what your heart is saying right now. It's I can share this. A few years ago, when I had gone through some things where I was doubting myself a lot, one morning I said to myself, Pernilla, I'm just going to trust myself. I'm no matter what happens, no matter what anybody tells me, I'm just going to trust my own experience. And it really changed my life. It was very, very powerful. So when we commit to something that is actually very important to us and really commit to that on a daily basis, see what happens. So did you get that? If you just every
yes, I understood it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I am very happy that also that I heard you saying that not everybody has to do something in the world, or so I can change my idea about that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And I'm so glad you said that too, because it really is true. You know, in my own experience, that is really all I long for too, to just be that peace and be at ease inside. But there is something else at the same time in me that also wants to share itself. And they're not separate really for me. But that's because I'm trusting what I'm feeling, right? And I want to invite you to trust what you feel, and that is that you just want to be at peace. And yes, you're not alone in that. There are many, many people who are actually feeling that, and I think they're confused like you are because you feel like you should be doing something for other people. But it's not true. If you were meant to do something for other people this moment, Therese, you would feel that too. That would be there right in your heart at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Because it's not there, right? You can't find it right now. So
No.
it's you're not meant to.
Yeah.
And like I just shared with these other women in the circles that I'm with, a lot of women are actually saying that I just need to completely stop and just wait and see what actually is true for me. And you can give yourself permission to just stop and trust what your heart is telling you, and then see what unfolds. Maybe you'll just be enjoying that for the rest of your life, or maybe there will be something else starting to blossom that you don't know about yet. But it doesn't matter. What matters is this moment where you're experiencing that.
Yeah. Lovely to hear you speak, Vanessa.
It's lovely to talk to you. Was that helpful?
Yes, I really loved it. It helps me because it kept me busy lately.
Yeah. Great. Well, it was wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. It makes me really happy.
Thank you, and a lot of love to you.
Thank you, my dear. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Thank you so much, Teresa. And it looks like we have another caller coming in. Hello there. Who is this?
Hi, Pernilla. It's Akasha. How are you?
Hi, Akasha. I'm good, thank you. How are you, my dear?
Kind of a rough day. We're losing one of our cats to lymphoma, and so it's a kind of a sad day. But I'm really glad that I was listening to your show because it was very affirming for me about coming together with myself. One of the issues that I had, maybe even clarify this for me. I've come from a whole lot of different parts of me. I mean, because I've been a rock singer, and I've been an artist, and I've been a legal receptionist, and I've been this, and I've been a tarot card reader, and I've, been on TV, and I've done all these other weird things. And I had a health issue that kind of brought it to a screeching halt. So I started to try to rediscover myself and to try to re-find that balance. And it gave me pause. My illness itself gave me pause to study even more of what I was into, which of course was metaphysics. And through this discovery, I found that coming to your own self is really a process, isn't it? It's a journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes we don't know if we're quite there yet, and then there are other days it's a very fluid thing. You know?
I've heard of the expression called being and becoming. I think it comes from Buddhism. Being and becoming. We are always being and we are always becoming. So it's not like we're going to reach a destiny and then we're done. It doesn't work that way. It can never happen. If you look around the world, there's always being and becoming. If you look in nature, there's spring, all the flowers are out, but then they keep moving to the next phase. And it's no different from us. So I don't know if I'm hearing you say that, we need to get somewhere or it needs to be clear at one point. I don't think it ever will be. It's just the moment. What is the truth in the moment, and how is it unfolding into the next moment?
I've come to accept that now.
Yeah.
I think I've come to that truth personally because I know from my own studies that all of our power is in now. This is where we manifest it all. This is where we begin to create and to make our lives what we want them to be. So when you get lost in that confusion, you're messing up your ability to manifest. So you need to find that clarity and that inner GPS so that you can do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. So what is the question, Akasha?
I guess my question is how do I bring all of my selves, all of these parts of me that feel like a gypsy, like I've done everything in the world, into this cohesive piece now? And be at peace with my past and not have to live in my past, but just now be at peace with me because I've come such a long, long way from that.
My question goes to, where are you not living at peace with yourself? Or how are you living at peace with yourself?
There are times, like especially with the music, that I have a real problem because I know personally at this point physically I don't have it in me to be able to perform, and I'm on disability physically and unable to do so. And so I miss that. And of course, when you get to be a certain age, not everyone wants to see you on stage.
Right.
No matter how professional you are. And there's that still burning thing that I can't quite get rid of.
Did you say
when I feel that way?
What did you say? A burning thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like a yearning and an ache for what I felt was not able to be completely brought forth.
Right.
That I was kind of cut off in mid-expression of said ability.
So here's what I would suggest, Akasha. Can you feel that yearning inside of you right now?
Yes, I can.
Where do you feel that?
Hi.
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
I'm sorry. Yes, I am feeling that.
Yeah, where do you feel it in your body?
I feel it in my heart chakra.
Yeah. So what I'm going to invite you to do right now is to fully allow that feeling of yearning to be there. Just feel it in its completeness without projecting anything out that you want, but just go to the sensation I hope you can follow me on this. Feel the sensation in your heart. And what does it feel like? Does it feel like a pressure or churning and energy? Whatever it is, see if you...
It feels kind of like a pressure. I would say.
Great. So see if you can just allow that pressure. Just allow it. Don't try and make a change, go away, figure out what it means. Just create a space where you allow the pressure. And then I want to invite you to take a breath right into that pressure. Just allow it.
It feels a little lighter.
A little lighter.
That was a very nice technique. Thank
you. So if you can hang out there a little longer, Akasha, you might also start opening up your ear and just listen to this pressure. So you allow it by making space for it. Take a breath as if you're saying hello to it. So just the pressure knows that it's okay that it's here. Make peace. You make peace with that pressure by saying, yeah, it's okay you're here. I don't need to fight you with the yearning, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then just see what happens. You say it gets a little lighter, relaxes a little bit maybe. And just see, then listen to it. What is it trying to tell you? What does it want from you?
What it wants from me is to get out there and get back on stage. But what my body is saying, I couldn't get through even one set, let alone 4 sets in a night, because I know what kind of physical ability it takes to get through it. It's not something that I can do, so I have to be at peace with it.
But what you can do for now, because we don't know what the next moment brings ever, but what you can do for now is allow that pressure and that yearning and just allow it to be there and feel into it. It's almost like following the yearning in instead of projecting it out. Does that make sense? So you stay with the sensation of the yearning. You don't put an image on it that you project out to the world here. You just stay with the sensation and feel the sensation, and you allow the sensation.
And this will just make things easier in general.
Yeah. Can you see, this is what you can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it gets easy.
You can only do what you can do. You can't do what you can't do. So why spin your wheels, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it is with everything. But it's only in the moment, right? We don't need to project ourselves into the next moment. So if you can just do that every time you feel the yearning, pause. Just allow the yearning and say, yeah, I hear you, sweetheart. It would be wonderful if we could do that performing. And I'm going to love you anyway.
That's a good way of doing it. I keep forgetting to say, and I would love you anyway.
Oh, yeah. 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 So just love the yearning if you can. Breathe into it. When I work privately with my clients, I do a lot of work to really bring the sensation of love into those areas that are painful, whether it's a yearning or a fear. And we don't have enough time to do that right now. But I just want to invite you to see if you can find some love for that part that's yearning for something else. And just feel it.
Well, thank you, Pernilla. That was a very, very helpful and insightful way of looking at it, and I appreciate your abilities, and I thank you very much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure, my dear. Thank you so much for calling in, Akasha. It was lovely to spend some time with you.
It was lovely to spend time with you too, Pernilla. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Okay, well, we have a few more minutes left. That went fast. Luckily, we have many more Tuesdays coming up. I will have a few guests coming up the next month, I think, but I'm actually really looking forward to coming back and share what I have to share with you here. And I just love how you've been calling in, Teresa and Akasha. Thank you so much. So if you would like to know a little more about what I do in the rest of my life outside of my Tuesday radio show, you can go to my website, which is lilarose.com. And as my other guests do, I also have some free gifts that I like to offer. If you go on my website, you can receive the little booklet called Allow Yourself to Be You, which is just a little introduction to how you can start getting more in touch with yourself. And I also offer a free e-course on my website, and that will be a 30-day email. You get an email every 3 days for 30 days with just little suggestions and exercises on how to start getting in touch with yourself, because that's really what it all comes down to. And then if you are moved to get to know a little more about what I do, you can always sign up for a free discovery session. So these are things you can all find on my website at lilarose.com. And let's see, we have a few more minutes left. My friends, I'm so grateful to be here with you, and I really want to encourage you, and that includes myself. I want to encourage all of us to keep trusting our heart and to really start listening and doing whatever it takes to learn the language of your body, of your heart, so that you can come back in full alignment with yourself. Because it's not worth living a life where you're separate from yourself. It will never ever give you any joy, any pleasure. But starting to listen as every single petal of your heart opens up, that is where the joy comes from. And again, if petal number 1 opens up, you don't want to jump to petal number 50 and know what's in there. You just go by one petal at a time. And as we allow each petal to open in a loving, safe environment, which is in our own atmosphere of allowing the next petal, allow the yearning to open up and feel that. Allow the fear that you have to include other people in what you long for. Allow that to be felt. Allow it. And then see whatever next happens. What is the next petal? So that is my invitation for all of us, to just allow our heart to open up one petal at a time and come into full bloom. My friends, it's been wonderful to be here with you, and I look forward to connecting again next week. Many, many blessings and much love to you all. Thank you.